All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. I think we're ready to go with everyone. I want to welcome you all back to the Purpose Driven Developer Academy. This is our first official session for this training. So I want to welcome the new folks that are just joining us for the first time this evening. And then, of course, for all of those that are returning. So I will All right, everyone. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. I did want to take the time to welcome you all back to the Purpose Driven Developer Academy. For those of you all that are just joining, I did want to reintroduce your lead facilitator for this course, Tiffany Williams. And so I will let her introduce herself again for those new folks that are joining us, as well as let you all know what to expect for this evening. So Tiffany.
Thank you so much. And it is absolutely wonderful to be here tonight. We are very excited about the Academy. Again, my name is Tiffany Williams. I'm owner and principal broker of Eternal LLC Real Estate Services. Also the current president 2022 of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, the Louisville chapter. And we, like we talked about Monday, and for those that was not here, just talked about how we have a need in the community for more developers, for more Black developers.
I'm gonna this back piece that I have.
I'm gonna put somebody on mute. Okay, there we go. Just the need that we have for Black developers, and saw that there was also need to train and help develop those developers as well, where to go, resources, making sure that you're ready, understanding the whole impact of it, things of that nature or whatever. So we are excited to bring it to you. Tonight is our first full night of training. It is a commitment. Like I said, this is an investment from each of you that wants to be a developer. And this is just the start of development because it does take not only equity, sweat equity, but also financials. And it also takes your time, energy, and attention. So we definitely want to make sure that we give our all on it. And if this is your passion, this is where you want to go with it, definitely to give your all with it as well. Some will find out that maybe this isn't the course for them. Maybe this is not really the way that they want to go. But this is what the learning process is all about, figuring out what you want to do and how you want to do it. So with that being said, we're going to get started. And hopefully everybody was able to get the course information, the materials. I do just want to do a couple of housekeeping things before we get started. On the screen, you'll see, hopefully everybody can see the screen. Our course schedule is going to be Monday and Wednesday from 5 to 7 p.m. It will be on Zoom. And you can use this same link to link in. And then our course material, again, that's the workbook and book by Dominque Higgins. She is actually a real estate broker and developer in California, and she'll be dropping in as she can to talk and answer questions and things like that. So she definitely will be a guest speaker going forward. So if you can, make sure that and it's when you go to the website, it's $5. And it's great. That's the materials that we're going to be using. We're going to be working out of that workbook. So I definitely encourage everybody to get that workbook if you can. Okay. Again, all course documents, we are recording all of our sessions. Any PowerPoints, the syllabus handouts, they will be located on our Google Drive. Everybody should have received a link to that. If not, it is on the screen. If you have not received that, we can get that to you and make sure that you do have it. That way, if you want to go back and review information, maybe you didn't quite hear it or understand it, or just as a reference, we're going to have that available to everyone. So don't feel discouraged if you didn't get something. We have those resources available for you to make sure that you get the full experience of this course. And that is definitely one of the things that we want to make sure that you have the resources, that we make them available as we get them, we give them to you. If there's a question or a resource that we currently don't have, we've got partners that we're partnering up with that we're going to try to get those resources for you and that information. Okay. Again, that's the course location with the Zoom. If you do have a question, you can put it in the chat. Also, you should have a button that says raise your hand. And if everybody can make sure that they are on mute, that will be great. That way we don't have a lot of background noise and things like that. And we will make sure that everybody's questions are answered. This is going to be a very involved participation where you ask questions, we have open dialogue, things of that nature. So I want you to feel comfortable and feel free to ask any questions that you have, okay? And we encourage participation because again, this is your time that you're investing right now. So make the most of it and get out of it what you feel like you need out of it. And hopefully, like I said, you learn a lot about if this is for you or if it's not for you. But we're going to do our best to make sure that you have what you need to get started. Okay? All right. I see there's a few things in the chat. We're going to check that real quick. Just see if there's any questions.
I will drop the link to the Google Drive. That way you all have access to it. Also, another quick thing to know, some of our emails might be going to your spam or promotion. So if you have the chance to check just some of your other folders in your email to see if you're receiving the information. And if you're not, please just send me a note and let me know, and we can see about getting you the information another way. So I'll drop that in the chat. Tiffany, once you're done, I'll have to stop sharing so I can get that, but I will certainly address that for you.
Okay, all right.
I'm sorry, I have a quick question. Before you stop sharing, would you go back to the first slide, please? Just so I was driving and couldn't capture it. Back one more where it says yes, course information. Thank you.
All right, are we good to move forward?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay. So week 1, getting started. What we are going to accomplish is these items that we do have on the screen. The first one, establishing the course participation requirements and expectations. I think we pretty much kind of set that parameter. Again, it's all about what you want to get out of the curriculum and this training. For us, what we want to see is we want to see people that are interested, do want to be developers, come together, get the knowledge and get that basic foundation and understanding, and then hopefully work on some projects, whether it's together or you have your own project, and have those projects started and see it from beginning to the end. So we are definitely looking forward because this is the first program that we have of this nature. So we definitely want it to be a success, and we're going to be learning from all the information, what we can do different, what we can do better. So if we are able to offer it again, we have that groundwork and we can make it even better for our next class. So that's what we're looking to get out of it. And again, our whole focus is to make you prosperous on this. All right. Now, understanding what it means to be a real estate developer. Wow, that's a lot to unpack, guys. And a real estate developer, some think, you just build, but a real estate developer can be a couple of different things. And as you might have read in the book or in the workbook, it does require a lot of your time and energy and finances. It requires you to think about how you want to develop, where do you want to develop, what do you want to develop. It can be anywhere from you taking a house and remodeling it and putting it back on the market, which we call that flipping. Or maybe you want to take a piece of land and fully develop a commercial building. So again, understanding what it means to be a developer. And, you know, for a developer, it also means that there's a difference between being a developer and an investor. Developer, you're probably going to do it short term, where you get in, you do the project, you sell it, and you go on to the next project. An investor is looking more long term. They are looking at, I'm investing it. Either I want to sell it, or I want to hold it, or you know, what can I get out of it long term? So you have to decide which one do you really want to do. You want to be a developer or an investor. Then there is a certain thing that's called, you can be a developer and have a tax credit. And we will get into that a little bit later. And tax credits is actually very different. It is a way of financing your project, but you do have requirements because that money is not so much as money, but you get a credit from the government on your taxes for so many years. And when that's up, then you can sell the property and things of that nature. So that is one way of developing projects, big projects and multifamily, but there are stipulations that go along with that. And the government is very specific on how you do it and how you use it. So again, you have a developer and an investor, and you have to decide which one is it that you really want to be. Okay. And this is the definition that's in the book if you have not read it. The key distinction is real estate developers are not in deals for the long run, whereas real estate investors focus on purchasing cash flowing assets that plan to hold on to for 10, 15, 30 years. Real estate developers focus on short-term profits. Okay. So again, there is a difference between the two, and you have to decide which one you're more comfortable with. And there's nothing wrong with either one of them. It's just all about what is your strategy and what are you trying to gain. So the first sheet in that workbook is setting your goals. Was there anybody on here that has already done that worksheet and would like to share some of their goals with us and what they put on their sheet? Anybody? And if not, we're going to throw this out here and you tell me, take a moment to think about it, but tell me, what would you like to achieve in real estate within the next 3 years? Because you have to have a goal. You have to have a mindset of what you're trying to do. So what is it that you would like to achieve in real estate in the next 3 years?
I can read mine, Tiffany.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Carlotta. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. On the first one I wrote, realistically, starting on the ground level with no experience, I could be acquiring an income of $55K a year till I get the hands-on and knowledge to grow, financial freedom, and to grow and be positive and be a positive part of the community. And then I didn't get to the what in the minimum. I didn't get that one yet.
No problem. No problem at all. Absolutely. So that's a realistic goal, because I do want you to be realistic about it, right? And how you're going to be realistic about it is looking at where you're at right now. Like you said, especially if you have a little knowledge or you got a lot of knowledge, what are you trying to do? And writing those goals down is going to help you focus on what it is that you truly want to do. And can you read that one more time for me, Coletta, what your goal was?
Which one?
What would you like to achieve? Yeah.
In the next 3 years, my goal is to, I already own a business. So I want to try to find a building and design the building myself for like it'd be a one-stop shop for visitation exchanges where they have, and to grow from that and buy more property for that and to add to different counties if possible. Find new development to create a child psychologist on board and stuff like that for the community.
Absolutely. So in that, what she's talking about, if you don't mind if we use that for a minute, in that what she said is that she already has a business, looking for if she wants to find a building or build a building, but also wants to in the future add on to that building, right? And it's going to be community-based services, right? So again, very clear direction and a vision on what she wants to do. Everybody might not have that vision just yet, and that's okay, but you need to be thinking about that. Be detailed in what you want to accomplish. Think about it in detail. It's great to have an idea, and it's great to have, hey, this is what I want to do, and I got a vision of this building or this lot or this multifamily, but what in detail do you want it? Where do you want it at? What do you want it to look like? What is it going to serve? Who is it going to serve? How much money do you want to spend on it? I mean, even down to what the colors are and carpet and things like that. We're going to get down to those type of levels when we talk about developing, because you have to think about those things, because when you do your financials and you put a plan together, guess what? Each one of those steps and those things cost. There's a cost to everywhere. It's your time or materials or labor. So you do have to be thinking in detail on what you want to do, right? One of the most important questions I think people don't think about is the third one, which it says, what would achieving those goals mean to you and your family? You and your family. I know we like to think that, hey, this is my project, this is what I'm doing by myself, things like that. But actually, it's not just you. It's your family too, because it's going to involve them. Because guess what? Your time and energy and resources are going to come from what you're doing with your family. You have to balance family life and business life like we all do right now. But this being a developer is a little bit more involved. And so you have to think about that. I always tell even my new homeowners, when they are sitting down doing their budget and things like that, include your family. Bring your immediate family, bring them in, tell them what your ideas are and what you're going to do and talk about how it's going to affect how they currently live in. Because you might have to save. You might have to pull from different levels of where you're saving at, like a 401k or something like that. So it's definitely important to make sure that you speak with your family about what your ideas are. What does that look like for the family? How does that dynamic change? Because what you don't want to have happen is that you take on these projects and then you have the stress that your family doesn't quite understand. It's like, yeah, I get that you're doing this, but you also are pulling from the family. You don't want that to happen. You want everybody to be on board as much as possible. And that's your immediate family that you're supporting. If you out there doing your thing by yourself, way to go. But if you have a family, you need to speak with them. And that is very important. I had to do the same thing when, with me and my daughter, it's like, hey, mom wants to buy a different house or another house. I need to save up. So some of the things we used to do, we're going to have to cut back on. We're going to save. We're going to do this. And she understood. She understood that. And we both was on board and we achieved our goals, which in the long run is benefiting her as well. Okay. We also, the next question was, what is the minimum net profit you would like to walk away with from every development project? That is a very good question, but it's something I want you to keep in your mind as you go through this, and it may change as we go through this project. And I say that because it really depends on what project that you're doing, how much the cost is. And right now with everything that's happening in the world and government, things change. Nobody could have foreseen COVID and how it would affect materials and things like that, which affects your bottom line. So, but there is probably a minimum that you need to think about that you want to walk away with. And that's your what we call your net margin. And what profit that you want to walk away with from every project that you don't want to go below. So if that is 10,000, 5,000, 50,000, you need to kind of make that your baseline. And then so when you start doing projects, you'll know that, hey, based on all the research I've done, how much it's going to cost me if I pick this project. I know once it sells, then I will only be walking away with this amount of money. If that is the case and it meets your criteria, then yes, that's probably a project you want to do. But if it does not meet your criteria, then you probably want to move on to the next project. So that's how that minimum works. When they say, how much do you want to walk away with? That's the reason why they ask that, because it's going to make a difference on which projects that you use and which projects that you get. Because again, if you get a project and you only walk away with $2,000, was it really worth your time and effort? Some people might say yes. I'm not here to judge that. That is for you to decide what is it that you want to walk away with, right? So these are things just kind of keep in mind. It's great to fill out this first sheet, get your thoughts on paper. And I encourage you to keep this sheet. And then when we get to the end, I want you to fill out this sheet again, or take a look at the information that you wrote at the beginning and see if your thought process has changed from the start to the end, right? Once you acquire a little bit more knowledge and start thinking about things in detail, the financing, the project and things like that, see how it's changed from beginning to the end. Is there any questions or anything right now before we go on? Okay, I'm just double checking.
I'm sorry. I wasn't here last week, but I did watch the video. Where is that sheet located at, if you don't mind telling me that?
I'm sorry, where's the
sheet, that the fill out sheet that we're talking about?
Oh, it's in the workbook. So there should be a link that was sent out. It's for Dominque Higgins.
Okay.
And when you go to that link, it's a workbook, her book, and also it's a spreadsheet that she gives you all three, and it's just $5. $5, and it's downloaded, so you don't have to wait for it to be sent to you. You can download it right on your computer. And yeah, it's really great, easy, and that's where we're pulling the worksheets from, is her workbook.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Any other questions?
Yes, one question.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I've been chatting with everybody in the group, and I accidentally closed my window when I was downloading those. So I downloaded the workbook, but the other two files I did not download, and it looked like the only way I could get it was to repurchase. And I didn't want to ask anybody to send it to me. So is there a way you can ask Dominque about that for me?
Okay. Actually, we got somebody just put it in the chat for you.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, we can get that for you. That won't be no problem.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Yeah, excuse me.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, for Will, when you make the purchase and put that email address in, it sends you a link that has those 3 links in that email.
Oh, yep, it sure does.
Huh. I look for it. I didn't see it, but I did not check my spam, so it could be there.
Wonderful spam.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Now, guys, let's get into some nitty-gritty. Let's talk about something that people don't really like to talk about, and that's financials, right? Nobody wants to talk about those. This is a huge step, and this is one of the very beginning steps. I don't care if it's this developers class or if you looking to purchase your first home. Any purchase that you do, even if it's a car, you should sit down and do your financials and find out where you are at. That makes for a better purchase. It makes for a better decision. And that way you know where you're at exactly, and if you can handle the payments and what comes along with that financing, right? So one of the sheets that is in there, in this next sheet, I think it's page 3 in the workbook, and it's called Current State of Affairs. And it's your starting point. So it's basically just columns of information listing basically where you at financially. You'd be surprised when I have clients sit down and really write out what they spend their money on, where they can actually save money. I did it even myself, and I found out that, oh goodness, I had to give up one of my favorite things because it was just costing a little bit too much. And I found that if I just cut it out, I could save so much more. And one of those things was I was going like 2 or 3 times a week to Starbucks to get, a white chocolate mocha, which one of my favorites, but that was like $5. So $15, you're talking about $15, $20 a week, and it wasn't something I had to have. I just had got used to doing it. So when I started sitting down doing my financials or whatever, that was one thing that I could real quick change and save that amount of money, right? So it's very good to sit down, do a detailed budget. And this again is where I talk about, you want to talk about family, if things are changing because you guys have a goal, and you want to save money, you want to increase your credit, things like that or whatever. This is where those changes come in. And you talk to your family about, hey, well, you know what, instead of going out 2 and 3 times a night, let's just cut it back to 1 time. Things of that nature. But you will find out real quickly where your money is going and where you can save at. Plus, on top of that, when you do the first part, it talks about your income monthly and yearly, right? So you definitely want to list your salary, any bonuses or commission, any other income that you might have coming in. If you do have a spouse or a significant other that is with you in the household, list their income, any alimony, child support, anything like that that you've got coming into the house, right? Because that's your whole financial picture. And if you don't want to include those things, that's fine, but don't count them later on, and don't count on them later on if you don't include it in the first part, because you want to know what it is that you have to work with. And this is also going to be important when you go to the financial institutes or the hard money lenders, things like that. They are going to want to see what you are working with. And yes, just like buying a house or any other investment property, they are going to get into your financial business. So be ready. Don't take it personal. Again, remember, you're asking them to invest also in this project. So they want to see what skin in the game you have in it, but also, is this project worth it? And what are we working with? And how are we going to get the money back on our investment? So it's imperative that you are prepared with your financials, because when you go and present and you know exactly where you at, that looks well on you. They see, okay, this person is prepared. They came with everything. Maybe they're not there yet, but they're on their way. Or, hey, yes, this person has got everything together. Responsible person. Yes, everything's looking good. I think we can work with them. If you go in there and you just saying, hey, I want to borrow some money, but you don't know your own financials, why would they give you more money if you don't know what you're doing with your own financials? So be diligent, take your time, work on this worksheet. If you have not done it, do it. Sit down. Every piece of penny of money that's coming in your house and leaving your house, wherever those funds are, you need to take a look at it. One of the things that I did not see on here is, your insurances, as far as they going out, or do you have an insurance that you can borrow against the policy? People don't realize that you can do that. So that's a financial instrument that might be at hand for you. It does have on here your pension, which also could be your 401k. There's different types of 401ks. There's IRAs, things like that. You want to put those in your list because you can borrow out of those on certain occasions for certain things or whatever. But understand that you have to know what you can and can't borrow out of certain policies and retirement plans and things like that. And then if you do borrow out of it, is there any kind of penalties for it, right? And does that penalty outweigh what you're trying to do? So again, put everything down so you can understand your financial picture and what is it do you have to work with. And then of course, passive income, and that's basically income If you've never heard of that term, that's income that you not having a punch clock for 8 to 5, that it comes in even when you sleep or you're not doing anything. A lot of people think of passive income like rental income coming in. If you do have a piece of property already and you're getting rental funds from it. So anything like that, if you got dividends coming from stocks and bonds, things like that, you want to make sure you include that. So again, everything that you can think of that's got money coming in, you want to list that. And then of course, the flip side of that is knowing what's going out the door. Every piece of change is going out the door. And if you think you got a handle on it, I challenge everybody to sit down 1 week, one pay period, and say, okay, this is what I'm starting off with. And every time you use your card, every time you buy something, every time you pay something, make sure you write it down on a worksheet. I don't care if it's a pack of bubble gum. Write it down. See where your money is going. And then evaluate it. Seriously evaluate it and say, where can we cut out some things and save some money, right? Another thing too is look at the loans that you do have. What kind of loans do you have? And right now in this market, if you have a mortgage, a home equity loan or something like that, are the rates low enough where you can refinance? Refinancing will save you money. Or you might be able to pull out money, your equity out of the home if that's what you want to do. Some people want to do it, some people don't. But again, that's a resource that you can take a look at that you have right there at your fingertips. Say if your interest rate, you got it years ago, your interest rate is 7%. Well, right now, interest rates are running about 4%. You might be eligible to refinance. Guess what? If you refinance, get your payment down, not only are you saving monthly, but then you're going to save on that loan as well. Whether you pull money out of it or leave it there, that's still a resource of funds. So you're reducing that debt. So when you go to show your financials and things like that, you've got less debt. So take a look at all your loans that you have. See if it's even feasible to possibly refinance, if it makes sense. Don't do anything that don't make sense financially. Like I say, if it don't make money, it don't make sense, right? But you want to be honest with yourself. And definitely when you go to ask for financing or whatever, they're going to know, they're going to find out. So you might as well be honest and upfront. But you don't even have to do that if you've already done the homework and you've already looked at everything and you've done everything that you can to try to reduce your debt and save money. The other thing on this worksheet is net cash flow. Again, and that's just basically taking what you spend out, what you got coming in, the difference between the two, that's your net cash flow, right? Nothing hard about that. It's just, again, knowing how your money is coming in and out every month, in and out every month. And you can do that monthly and you can do that yearly because some things are yearly that come out. Some things are monthly. For instance, if you do have a home, your homeowner's insurance is probably coming out yearly. Taxes are coming out yearly. You might get a bonus every year from your company. That's yearly income coming in. So you don't see that on a monthly basis. So you can do it two different ways and make sure that you're accounting for every piece of penny that's going in and out. And that also helps you get ready for your development project or whatever, because understand when you do get the funds, and I notice I said when you do get the funds, because I believe everybody's going to be able to achieve their goal, you have to be able to manage not only the materials that's coming in and out, but also the funds that are coming in and out. You need to know what is happening to that money because guess what? Ultimately, you're responsible for anything that you borrow. And you want to make sure that you use that money responsibly and that you have enough to see your project all the way through. Because if it is mismanaged, guess what? You might have to go back and ask for some more, or it's coming out of your pocket. And that's one thing you don't want to have to do. You want to make sure that you budget that to the T. And that way, with you doing your own budgeting, you get used to looking at everything and understanding how it flows in and out. Okay. Any questions before we go on? I'd just like to make sure that if we do have questions, we don't roll past anybody. Feel free to ask any question that you have. So this is open dialogue.
Miss Tiffany, can
Yes.
you discuss credit with them, credit scores and how high the credit score? Okay, thank you.
Gotcha. And that was actually next on my list. Any questions before we go into credit? Because I know it's a hot topic right there. No? Okay. All right. Again, take time to go in that workbook, set your goals, and then do the work on what you got coming in and out of your home, in and out of your bank accounts, in and out of any piece of money that's coming in and out. Let's talk about credit, right? Credit is huge. Most of the time, especially with if you say that your project is buying a residential home, most creditors are looking for on an investment property, not your first time home buyers residential, but on an investment property, you're looking at a credit score probably about 640 and higher, 640 and higher. And of course, the better your credit score, the better it looks for you and the better rates that you can get interest rates wise. And I will tell you, investment property is different than residential. Investment property, you're going to have a higher interest rate. And then also in most cases, like I said, on investment property of a home or house, you are looking at putting down at least 20 to 25% down payment wise. Now, of course, depending on your development project, that could change. It could be different. But there is always going to be some guidelines and you need to be ready for them. And I would say that the best thing you can do is have your credit where it needs to be at and have your money saved up, have your statements of how your money is going in and out. If you do have a small business already, have your profit and loss. If you don't know what that is, it's just real quick, down and dirty on a business side. Same thing you do with your house. You see what's going out, you see what's coming in, and your net profit that you have after all that is over with. So they do want to see that as well when you go apply for some of these different financial products. But again, credit is definitely a factor. It's not the key factor, but it is a factor, and they will look at your credit. So be ready for that. If your credit is not where it needs to be at, that's not a problem. Credit is repairable. It does take a little longer. You do want to get with somebody who is knowledgeable about credit and who can tell you by looking at your credit statement, what do you need to work on? Where you can get your biggest bang for your buck as far as fixing those credit, because on your credit, believe it or not, it's an algorithm that they use. And it's basically, time and length of your longest credit that you've had, credit account that you've had, how much that credit is, and then how have you paid on it. So again, it is repairable, not something that can't be done. It does take discipline. It does take an effort to make sure that you get to where you need to be at, but it is doable. So if that's something that you need to start working on now, but maybe you're not sure where you at, I would say go to, oh goodness, what is it, My Score? Oh goodness. Miss Carletta, what is the name of that? Is it
myfico.com?
Thank you, myfico.com. And it's different.
Fee,
it is absolutely.
It's a monthly fee, but it's worth it, and because it gives you all three of your credit scores. It gives all three, and it helps you. It gives you little tips on how to keep up your score and how, like she said, how to stay within your 30% of credit. If you got credit cards and stuff, it helps you out a lot. I've been doing it about a year now. Tiffany,
yep.
A year.
Absolutely.
I also have something to say, Ms. Tiffany. There's also a program called Innovation Credit Group, And they also do the same thing. They help you with your credit score. They ask you your goals. They ask you, okay, just say you want to purchase a home. They will give you information and people to contact to get your credit score up, but you have to work with them as well. And I'm actually going through them. And they're setting me up. I already have a down payment for a home. You know, it really works, but you just have to know who to go to, who to talk to, what programs are good and what programs aren't. But it's Credit Innovation Group, and I will put that number in the chat.
Excellent. Again, and this is what this class is all about, giving information to each other, what works, what doesn't work. And Mr. Will, I did see your hand up and we're going to get you. And Credit Karma is great to gauge your credit score, but that's it. That's exactly what it is. Because when you go to a financial institute, they actually look at a different score. And normally Credit Karma is usually about 30 or 40 points off. And it's actually, your score is probably about 30 or 40 points lower than what you see on Credit Karma. So Credit Karma is okay to gauge it. It's okay if you're doing what they call a consumer credit. But if you're looking at your investment and mortgages and stuff like that, they use a different score. Go ahead, Mr. Wills Stevens. I'm sorry, you had a question.
Yeah, simple question. And do you know typically if you're an investor, would they favor one particular credit bureau, credit company versus the others, between TransUnion, Equifax, and damn, I always forget the other one.
TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely no, not that I'm aware of. In most cases, especially working with mortgages and stuff like that, what they usually do is take the three and they take your median score. So they'll drop the highest, drop the lowest, and take your median score. So I don't think anybody does it any different than that. I've never heard of them using one score over another.
Okay.
Okay. I see Miss Rachel Smith has her hand up.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Tiffany. On Monday, I can't remember who it was that was speaking about having some resources, I thought within LCCC that for finance, like for credit and finance repair. So I don't know if that is I don't know if that was Carmen, or I don't know who was speaking then. And if the Innovation Credit Group is what they were referring to, or if they were referring to something else.
Right. If you do need assistance, absolutely, you're right. You did hear that correctly. The LCCC does have financial literacy and financial classes that can help you with your credit and things like that. And Ms. Carmen is kind of our go-to person on that. And she can actually set you up separately and help you out with that as well. Ms. Carmen, do you want to speak a little bit about that?
Yes. Okay. Hi, everybody. I just want to let you know I am Carmen Birdsong from LCCC, and I am the financial coach there and the adult service coordinator. I teach people how to, as far as their finances, I teach them how to lift their credit scores, just like I just did here. I tell them to go to different programs like Credit Innovation Group. I also let them know they need to let me know what their credit score is so that I can help them and better suit them with whatever program they can, get to help increase their credit score. Sometimes it's just little things like maybe they have okay credit, but they need positive credit in order to build up their credit score. So them are some of the things that I do at LCCC. And my telephone number to reach me, I'll put it in the chat for everybody to see. Thank you, Ms. Tiffany.
Yes, absolutely. So again, we want to make sure that we do give you good resources, quality resources that you can use. And these are things that you can use not just for this, but ongoing, because we want to develop that foundation that you know what, as you grow, you'll get better and better. And we want you to pass that information on. Or as we have classes, come back and be a mentor. Let us know how it went. Let us know worked and what didn't work, some of the pitfalls and things like that or whatever. So this is actually a growing community. It's a growing project. And we want to make sure that, we set everybody up for success and give you exactly what you need. And as we go through, if you have questions and if we don't know, like I said, we will do everything possible to make sure that we get you the resource and get an answer to your question. Okay. But again, talking about credit, I think somebody put in there, Identity LQ. I have not heard of that one, but they said that is a good place for credit also. And it's about $30 a month. Like I said, be prepared. Some things you do have to invest money and time into to get where you want to be. So be prepared for that. It could be a resource as far as joining a group and things like that, or, getting your credit together or saving, but everything is an investment and it is going to take dedication, willpower, and structure to get you to where you want to be at. But I guarantee you, if it's something that you're passionate about, it will pay off for you. It definitely will pay off. Now, I can't say it'll pay off tomorrow, but it will pay off for you. Okay. So again, go ahead, Mr. Will.
All right. Yeah, I'm sorry. I want to raise my hand. I don't want to interrupt you while you're talking.
No, you good. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Two things. First one was kind of a question for Carmen. Is there a point where it's not worth, I feel like, trying to raise your credit score? I know you mentioned doing things to make your credit score higher, but is there a certain point where you're like, okay, this should be good enough, and not try to shoot for the perfect 850 or I think it's 850?
Yeah, when you get to 650 and above, then you just stop. I would stop, and unless you want to keep on, that's a question that's really up to the person, the individual.
Okay.
If whatever you decide that you want to do and where you want to stop, that's when I would stop. But it's up to the individual to do that.
Okay. And then the last one's more of a comment. I know what a couple people have mentioned in the chat, and we put a couple different groups in there, but the free one that everybody, and I've learned this a couple years ago by something being on my credit that wasn't mine, is the free one from the government that it does not show your score, but it just has your credit. And you can go to ftc.gov, or I can drop it in there, and it'll show you to the link for the annualcreditreport.com. But I like sending people to the actual FTC so you can link there from it, and I'll drop it in the chat. It was a good experience for me to learn that too.
Absolutely. That is actually a law that the credit bureaus do have to give everyone a free credit report every year. Now, they do not have to provide you with a credit score, like you said, but they do have to provide you with your credit report. So even if you don't have your credit score, it's great to go on there every year. It's free. It does not hurt your credit, so it doesn't drop your score or anything like that, and get that annual report, because like he said, there could be something on there that's not even yours. It could be a typo. It could be, maybe your social security number is almost the same as somebody else's and they reported incorrectly. But definitely that is absolutely great. And thank you for bringing that up, because you do want to do that. You want to check your credit at least once a year to make sure that there's nothing on there that's not yours, because you don't want to get to where you financing and they pull it up and it's like, oh my goodness, that's not mine. Well, it's going to take you a minute to get that cleared up and corrected. And by that time, depending on what project that you're doing, you might have to put it on hold, and that is money, or you might lose out on that piece of property that you're looking for. So planning, but it's just a good thing to do every year, whether you're buying something or not, just to go in and check your credit every year. Again, that does not give you your credit score, but it will give you a free credit report from all 3 credit bureaus. And you can do that once every year. Absolutely wonderful. Okay. And we have Ms. Carmen's information in the chat. A lot of great information in the chat. So make sure you go in there and take a look at that chat and get that information. And again, remember that all the resources and information, this recording will be available to everybody. So if you don't get something wrote down or miss something, you can always go back and take a look at it. Okay. All right. Let's see. The other thing with credit, like I said, they will pull credit. They will take a look at your credit. You want to make sure you do everything you can to put that in the best limelight and get yourself ready. It's all repairable, but it just depends on what you do with your credit, how fast that it might take to get that cleared up. If you're not sure what to do, please get with a professional, let them help you. And as Ms. Carmen said, is that some things you get a bigger bump in your credit than other things. So that's another reason why you might want to use a professional, because they can tell you specifically, okay, you know what, you might just need to get a secure credit card because you don't have enough things reporting, and that's going to bump your credit up. Or, hey, let's work on getting this bill down, because if you get it down, that's going to bump you up so many points. So you want to work on the things that is going to give you the biggest bang for your buck as quickly as possible, especially if you're trying to get a project. So absolutely, just being very mindful, very specific and pointed as to what you do when you're doing your development project and you're getting your credit together and you're looking at your finances. So you definitely want to have a goal in mind. You want to be very specific and intentional on what you're doing. So again, it takes some discipline to do it, but everybody is committed because you're already on this call trying to find out what you need to do. So kudos to everybody on that, taking the first step. And that's not easy. That's not easy, being committed to it. Any other questions on credit? I know credit, like I said, is a hot topic. It says, there was a question, when they review your credit, is it a hard pull, which can impact your score also? You know what? Depends on what you're looking for. If it's residential mortgage debt or looking for lending on mortgage, they will do a hard pull, but it normally only affects your credit maybe about 1 or 2 points. And usually if you're shopping around within those, I think it's 30 to 60 days, it doesn't really affect your credit, right? But one thing you don't want to do, and one thing mortgage companies don't do, financial companies don't do, 30 days. Thank you, Ms. Carletta. One thing that mortgage companies and financial companies don't do that maybe like your car, when you go shop for a car, they don't just go out and throw your credit everywhere and see what sticks, right? They are being specific and they are pulling your credit because they want to give you the loan. As to if you go to a car dealership, they like, here, we're going to shop it out. Everybody's hitting your credit, and that does hurt. So be mindful too, as you're starting to think about your projects and stuff like that, about what you do with your credit. You don't want to go out and get new credit unless you absolutely have to, because there are some situations in everybody's life that you may have to do that. But if you don't have to do that, you don't want to open up new credit. You want to keep paying your bills as scheduled, making sure that you pay them on time so you can keep your credit score up. And this is the same thing we tell our first-time home buyers as well. You don't want to do anything that's going to affect your credit score if you've already got it to where you need it to be. You don't want to co-sign for other people. You don't want to go out and run up your credit cards, things of that nature, because that shows as debt. And again, that debt is going to hurt you because you're looking at how much money you got coming in compared to how much money you got going out. And if you got more money going out than coming in, the bank is going to look at that like you cannot handle more debt. So we're not in a position, first of all, to put you in a bad position where you can't afford it. But two, they know that they may not get paid. And that causes default on loans. So they absolutely want to lend you money, but they also in it to make money too. And they're not in it to lend money that is not going to be a good investment. So be mindful of your credit and make sure that you're protecting that. If you're already where you need to be at, make sure you keep it there. And again, that's not running up the credit bills, not getting new credit if you don't have to, and making sure that you're paying everything on time as you've been doing it. Any other questions on credit? What? No
One
more?
thing, real quick,
Yeah.
real quick. So
Sure.
the higher the credit score, the better though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In most cases, especially if you're dealing with your customary financial institute, like, your Chase banks or anything like that, they do look at your credit score, and the higher the credit score, the better interest rate that you might receive. And that's always a plus, because that means the lower interest rate, the lower your payments, the more you might be eligible to borrow money.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And we talked a little bit yesterday about hard money lenders, and we'll talk more about it in one of our next sessions. But hard money lenders, they do look at your credit report and your credit, but maybe not as hard as, it's not as big a factor as a financial institute. And the reason why I say that is because hard money lenders, they are looking specifically at investors. That is who their targeted client is. So they understand that, hey, you know what? Yes, credit is important, but I also want to see, have you done a project before? That's really big with them. Have you done a previous project? Also, if you've got your own business going, what is your profit and loss statements? How much money do you have to put in to the game? Things like that or whatever. So credit may not be as big a factor, but it is still a factor. And you still want to have your credit to where you want it to be at. Like I said, hard money lenders may not have as many guidelines and restrictions as your typical bank does, but they do have their own set of guidelines, and most hard money lenders are putting up their own money. So they definitely have different parameters and different payback scales and things like that. As far as when you do borrow money, when is that money due back, and what is the price for borrowing that money, right? So it might be a little bit different. But don't discount hard money lenders. Anybody in the financial institute that is able to help with the project, you want to look at all your options. And then depending on where you at financially, what your project is going to determine which way did you want to go financially, right? Because it could be a case, hard money lender definitely is going to work better than you going to a bank. And then on other situations, it might be better to go to the bank instead of using a hard money lender. So you will, as you become developers, and again, developers could be your flippers, it could be, you're building your building, it could be anything like that. But as you get into your niche and figure out your space and what you want to do and how you do it, once you do your first project, you become better and better, and you start understanding the financials and what you need better, and you'll be able to navigate better as to which financial product works for you. Right? But we're going to try our best to make sure that you have a good foundation, and you can take a look at all those niches and all those financials out there in the market. Okay. Let's keep going. We're going to get into a little bit about the niches. We talk about niches, and it's like, what is a niche? Basically, okay, let me see, Miss Rachel, before we get into that, let's have Miss Rachel has a question. Go ahead.
Well, and I think you're actually getting ready to get into it. But you mentioned that there's a difference between a developer and an investor. And we have to decide which we want to be. But I guess my question is there a way to do both? Like, say maybe, and is it is it too onerous to do both, or is it really have to do a hard line of either?
No, absolutely. That's the beauty about real estate. You can actually dip and dab in any area that you want. And I say, decide which one you want to be, because some people tend to lean more towards being an investor, and doing it long term. As to a developer, you go ahead and develop, get that project taken care of, sell it, you're on to the next thing. Some people don't want that long term situation, and some do. But I have clients that actually kind of do it out. I have a client that, you know what, works and started her business. She actually buys houses. She would keep some, rent them out, and then on the other side, she would take some, totally remodel them, redo them, and sell them, flip them, take those funds and keep moving with it. And then she has ventured out into buying a piece of land that she's going to develop later on. She's got a business building that's got a business inside of it. So she touches a lot of different pieces. She didn't do it all at once, but she kind of picked, okay, what project am I going to do this time? What looks good to me? What do I think that I want to have in my portfolio? So being a diverse portfolio is absolutely doable. For those that are just starting off though, that's why I say you might want to pick which way you want to go first. That way you can get that up under your belt and then go on to the next project. And if you want to try something else, you can. But no, there's no hard line. It's just really all about what you want to do and what you feel comfortable with. Absolutely. That's one of the things I truly love about real estate. You can do so many things with it. Does it help?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see, we got a question in our chat. It says, are there any asset-based lenders available to program participants? Okay, Tim, can you tell me a little bit about what you mean on that question?
I know some lenders, they lend on the value of the property or the future value of the property, and it's less stringent than going with the credit guidelines and working through normal, conventional ways. And I was just wondering if any of those type lenders will be access to the program.
We actually have a couple of lenders that is going to be telling us what products that they have. But I don't know of any that, especially in lenders, that are a little bit less stringent if they have to base it on the future value of the property, if that makes sense. So say, for instance, it happens a lot with distressed homes. You can go in and buy it, and they will lend you money for that amount, knowing that, your goal is to fix it up, either rent it or flip it. So they're going to say, okay, this is what, the value is right now. But once you submit your repair list, everything that you're going to do to it and to upgrade it and how much that costs, then they will say, okay, based on what you're going to do, the appraiser says, once all that is done, now it's going to be worth this amount. And we can lend you, once it's done, we can lend you so much of that money or whatever. So they still have those guidelines that is based on still your credit, still, your financials and things like that. But I will say that as you become a developer and use the same financial institute, and they come accustomed to what you're doing and what your business is, and you've done a couple of projects with them or whatever, then they tend to kind of know what you're doing already. And as long as you keep everything status quo as far as your credit and everything like that, they will automatically know, okay, just show me your P&L. I know you got this with us, and this with us. Now I just need to update it of your profit and loss statements. And then they'll base it on that, and you can go forward. So once you have created that relationship with a lender, then it's not as stringent as that first project that you have.
Okay.
But again, they still have guidelines that they have to meet. But like I said, as long as you haven't changed anything, and you keep flow going and you keep paying them on any previous loans that you have and projects and things like that, then again, you get to know that loan officer and you build that relationship, and you get to know what they need, and they get to know what you need. And it's a lot smoother, it's a lot easier.
Well, do you know if I know I worked with some cities with their economic development councils, and they were able to offer let's say like a partial guarantee to people that programs to connect to the city. But the city be doing that.
I'm sorry, you cut out just a little bit on me, but you're saying through the partnerships that we have, like with affordable housing and Develop Louisville?
Yes.
Okay. Will they be offering, what was the last part of the question?
I was asking if they would be offering maybe a partial guarantee or something like that that could help, you know, some people that might not have enough cash. They might say if you have to come up with 25% or something, then the city offers a 20% guarantee. That way you can leverage that with the lender. I was just wondering if they'd be offering any of that.
So far, they have not told us that, but that is not anything that's not off the table. We can always discuss, because I can say with Develop Louisville and everything that's happening within the city and things like that, they are trying to come up with new ways and creative ways to help our community, but also affordable housing, you know, making sure, because there is a shortage of housing out there. And so they trying to, you know, make it, how can we put more out there, and how can we help people develop, build, rehab, things of that nature. So I can't say that it's off the table, but I have not heard that. Now, when you do go through some of the agencies, the city agencies, you can do an application, and it is kind of a lengthy application, but it is doable. And you can ask for them to lend you the funds, but forgive some of those funds as well. Now, they might have some criteria. They might say, you know, yeah, we'll forgive some of it, but not all of it. But you can definitely ask. And they have been known to do that, is forgive some of it. Again, depending on what area that you are in, what are you doing with that property, and if it meets their criteria. But absolutely, they do have programs like that where you can ask, you know, apply and then ask for some of it to be forgiven of what you're trying to borrow.
Okay, thank you, Tiffany.
You're welcome. Yes, Ms. Kevin Fields, thank you. Develop Louisville will be talking about their own payment assistance programs and down payment assistance. So yes, we will have Develop Louisville on, and we are partnered up with the affordable housing as well, along with Rebuild, and we've got some other partners. So we definitely are trying to get them on to speak to us as well, and they can speak more about their programs and what they have and what's available. So I think that's going to be very beneficial. That's going to be great information. And I do want to stress that, again, it is time and effort, researching, making sure that you understand what it is. And if you don't, call in those resources and making sure that you are filling out the paperwork correctly. So it does take some effort on your part as well, researching the information, making sure that you understand what kind of project that you're doing, and what you need for that project. But yes, it's going to be great to have those speakers on as well. So we are actually working on that. So as we go through our curriculum and whatever topic that we're on, we're going to try to have those speakers come on as well to help out. Okay. Any other questions before we move on? Great conversation, guys. Love it. Love it. All right. Talking about niches, right? What is a niche? And that's just basically an area that you feel you want to work in. And it's a certain group or type of real estate that you want to work in. You know, you hear that word a lot, but that's basically what it is. What is it that you like to do? What is it that, you know, you can't take on the world all at once, but what piece of it do you want to take on, right? And there's different niches in real estate as well. There's different type of projects that you can do. And when we talk about projects, it's just basically, where do you want your development to be at? and what do you want your development to be at? Do you want to do, and these are some of the niches, residential houses, and even under residential houses, do you want to do rentals or do you want to do flips? There's commercial. Do you want to build commercial buildings for manufacturing, or do you want multiple use, or is it just strictly retail? Multifamily, absolutely. Multifamily could be 4 units. It could be 20 units, doing a whole building. Do you want to do condos? Anything of those natures. And then also like you have construction, you know, where you are doing maybe a whole subdivision of houses, you know, that's a whole different kind of market as well. Or do you want to do something like Airbnbs, you know, vacations, rentals, bed and breakfast by itself. So what is it that you kind of like to do? What is your niche? What do you feel like, you know what, I've always had a passion to do this type or that type. I see my vision of me, you know, developing this or building that. Is it that you want to build a school? Is it that you want to help develop shopping malls? You know, what is it that you want to develop? What part of the real estate do you want to get into? Does anybody have any ideas of where they want to, or where they feel like, you know, hey, this my passion or my vision is in a certain type of niche? Anybody want to share?
I will.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
So my niche is Airbnb. So I was given the opportunity to manage 54 of those in Louisville. So I am wanting to develop Airbnbs and things of that nature.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about, you know, because Airbnbs are very hot. They just came on the market, you know, just a couple of years ago. What did you like about the Airbnbs?
I guess I like the way the difference in the turnover. So I don't like the technicalities, which are, you know, finding someone to maintain the turnovers. But the turnovers are very interesting. And then the lucrative income that comes along with it to stay booked, it's just so simple and easy. It's more hands off, and you really don't have any issues if you know how to run it the correct way. So it's less maintenance than now. My specialty is property management. I do Airbnbs as well, but it's a lot of time consuming things that you have to keep up with. Where Airbnb, you really just sit back and let it do its thing if you have all of your systems correctly aligned. Everything runs smoothly where you're able to do anything you want to do. So if you're in another career, or if you're in real estate, you can get your time really works for you, and you can make money in your sleep, which is the goal usually for all of us. So that is an easy way for you to reach a goal of letting you make money in your sleep, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will say with Airbnbs, like I said, it just came on the scene not too long ago, and they are constantly, you know, the city and everything like that, ordinances looking at Airbnbs. So that is one thing to look at. Like you said, the turnover is probably a little bit faster. People are not in it as long, so they tend to not be able to tear up as bad if you had a long-term tenant or something like that. So it is absolutely great. A lot of people are getting into it. That is an absolutely wonderful niche that you can look into. There are more and more people that are doing it, and just absolutely be aware of, you know, what the city ordinances are, and make sure that you stay on top of if they're changing and what you can do in certain neighborhoods and what you can't do. But absolutely great. Excellent. Yes, Miss Cian. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Miss Cian.
Yes, ma'am. I am looking more into the tiny homes that they're allowing you to build now, the ADU units.
Yep.
I know I was on a webinar with them last, maybe a couple of months ago, and they were talking about that they won't let those be Airbnb'd out though. They would have to be rentals. So I'm thinking of creating like I have a half an acre, and I would like to put some small homes on it, and just maybe older people who are trying to downsize, younger people who are coming out of their parents' homes, give them something a little small to come home to. Not so much maintenance. So that's what I'm looking at.
Awesome. Great ideas, guys. And yes, that is so true. Louisville is just now coming to the table with the ADUs. So you probably will hear, and if you follow real estate and things like that, you will probably hear a lot more about those ADUs. Another thing that's coming down the pipeline, we're a little behind on, and you see them a lot in other states and things like that, is the container homes. I know there was just an article about container apartments that they just built not too long ago, just here recently. So container units, that is a whole different ball game. And the reason being because you have to develop those differently than you do a regular home. What's that foundation look like? How do you stabilize it? Things like that or whatever. So how do you get it insured? So all those things are coming into play right now. Louisville is taking a bite out of that. So be on the lookout for those ADUs, Airbnbs, and container homes, and just be mindful, stay in contact of what's happening with them as far as, what the city ordinances are and what the city zoning, planning, things like that are doing with them, because that's going to play a part that you're going to have to know about when you start really getting into development and doing your project. I do see a person who's got the hand up. It's got Galaxy A12. I'm not sure who that is, but go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Nakia Fish, and I just wanted to throw my idea out there. Actually, I wanted to start senior home care, putting our seniors back in our communities by utilizing the tiny homes and for them to live in. And I've, at up to half the cost that it takes to provide care in a long-term care facility, as well as connecting them with the community as far as connecting them with today's technology, solar power, energy, and excellent care for our seniors. I feel like they're forgotten about, in a sense, as far as development and advancement, and I just want to include them in, and just get an awesome community initiative together, to put our seniors back in our community, starting with the West End and expanding out. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yes. Again, guys, all of it is open. There's nothing that is off the table as long as you come in with a plan, as long as you know and do your research on where you can build these projects at. Zoning is very important. You will learn about zoning, making sure that you're in the right zone. And then when you are in those zones, making sure that, if there are special ordinances that you do have to pay attention to, and knowing all that information. But absolutely. And I will say, even renting out tenant information, things like that, you do have to be aware of the laws that do go. I think a lot of people do get into the business. They rent whatever space it is out, but not aware of what the tenant laws are and what the landlord laws are. And you can get into trouble with that if you don't know, and going to court saying I didn't know is not going to work. So definitely educate yourself. If you don't know, you can get with a realtor. They are aware of a lot of the information and where to go to get that information. And if there are special regulations for, like I said, assisted living, a senior community, things like that or whatever. So do your research, and it is just absolutely wonderful. Great ideas. I'm sorry, I apologize if I forgot your name, but Miss Galaxy, did you still have another question? I'll call you Miss Galaxy.
No, ma'am, that was all. Thank you.
Okay, great. But absolutely. So yes, great ideas. again, be aware of where you're doing it, and we'll talk more about what area you're going to do it in. Is there a need for it in a certain area? And do you have to let the community know what you're building? Some situations you do, and I'm pretty sure you've heard of different developers and developments that are happening. They have to send out a notice to, residential neighbors and things like that, letting them know what's happening. They might have to have an open hearing about it to hear the feedback. So again, just really depending on what you're developing, what you have to do to make that happen. Okay. Any other questions? Good information. Yes, I do. Go ahead.
Do we have any neighborhoods that are preservationists where if you build something, it has to look like something that's already in the city or in that neighborhood? Sorry.
Yes, we do have those. We have pretty much everything, especially in Louisville. And one example of that is Old Louisville. Old Louisville has a lot of historic homes and things like that. So if you are looking to develop in Old Louisville, and you're taking an old building and you want to do something with it, you do have to find out if it is historical, if there are certain things that you can and cannot do to the building. They will tell you that if you do want to remodel it, upgrade it, things like that, that you can only use certain materials. You can't take this down. You have to use this. You have to use that. So yes, we do have like historical, we have preservations. You have also areas where certain parts of the land you can develop, and then other parts of the land you cannot because it is preserved and things like that. So absolutely, it does matter where you pick the project and where you pick the land. That's why it's very important to do your research on the area that you're going to be developing in. So absolutely, you're right. There is special circumstances for special areas, and just being aware of that. That's also too where when we talk about building your team, that, if you're not aware, you can hook up with a realtor, find a realtor that does have that information that can help you determine, is this the right area for what you want to do? And if not a realtor, another developer that's already developed in that area that can tell you the ins and outs of it as well. So again, that comes along with building your team as well and finding those resources that is going to round out your team of information so you can make sure that you're building in the right place. Okay. Any other questions? And yes, ADU does mean accessory dwelling unit. And so, yeah, it's kind of like the mother-in-law suite, or like if you got a big backyard and you want to build another house back there, a tiny house or something like that, you can now. Previously, we did not see a lot of that. And now it's just kind of opening up the doors to do that. And one of the reasons is because of such a shortage in housing. So again, getting very creative on how we do things and which way we do it. Another thing too to look at is, a lot of people, when they are starting to develop not only the project, which is the thing that you're trying to build or trying to rehab, but what is going on around in that neighborhood? Is it a good place to put it? Is it in a good walking distance? What does it offer? Because that's going to play a part. And again, a realtor can help you that how is this going to sell? Is it going to sell fast? Nobody can guarantee you how fast it's going to sell, but they can kind of take a look at what's happening in the neighborhood and things like that. People tend to want to be in a neighborhood that, they've got some amenities around them. So when you think about your project, what kind of amenities are around your project that's going to help it and not hurt it? So that is also something to look at. But Not to get too deep into it or whatever, but these are just things that start getting your mind turning, because development does include all of that. It's not just the building, it's not just the financing, but it's looking at the area, it's looking at the neighborhood, it's looking at, will this help or hurt? Do I want to put my project right here? So say if you're putting a multi-dwelling unit in, but in some parts of the city, you have where it's a food desert. How is that going to look? Does that help or hurt? Will people be able, are they on the bus line? Will they be able to get there? Things of that nature. So it's looking at the whole picture. Okay. Any other questions? On niches, or anybody want to share what niche do they think they might want to go into? Okay. I do see a note in here. Yes, it was announced today that Norton's is building, I think it's a 20-bed hospital in the West End that's going to have 24-hour ER service, and it's going to be located on the Goodwill campus. If people are not aware, the Goodwill has taken the property on, it's on 28th and Broadway, and it was a huge building that was there. And so they've already started the remodeling and they've already knocked that down, and they are putting a huge campus down there. And that campus is going to have different things that are available to the community and things like that. And one of the things that was just announced today that Norton's is putting, if I read correctly, a 20-bed unit, bed unit down there with a 24-hour ER service. So that is interesting. You need to make sure that you follow the trends and what's happening in areas to see if you have a project that might go well with that and what's happening down there. I will say one thing in real estate, follow the trends and follow the money. Because when you do that, you start to see what's the next hottest thing. Where is everybody going? What's happening? What kind of funds are out there, who's developing what, especially if you want to develop yourself, definitely you have to start following what's happening in the city. And it's a lot of information out there, and believe it or not, a lot of people just don't tap into the information, but Louisville, and make yourself note of this, LouisvilleKY.org is a great source of information. And that's the city website. And it has all kind of information on there. I encourage you to go in there, play around with it, look and see what all is in there, what information that you can get out of it. How is it going to help you? That is one of the resources I go to quite often to find out what's happening and to do contacts and things like that or whatever. So make yourself note of that one too. That is a great resource for finding out information. And then again, just watch the news. And as you become aware of what you want to do in development, things like that, you will start to pick up as soon as you hear something about development or real estate or whatever, you start picking up and honing in on those things. And you'll be like, oh, really? They're doing that. They're doing this. Okay. And you'll start to develop that ear for it, and then understanding how's that going to play a part in what you're trying to do. NFTs, that is one that, didn't mean to send. The metaverse and NFTs, that is something new on the scene. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not aware of how that's gonna play a part, but I'm pretty sure that's just a different kind of real estate. But that's gonna be interesting. That's more of a virtual. But I'm pretty sure it'll play a part in everything that we do because it's becoming a hot topic. Other question in here is, will we be going over opportunity zones? Yes, we sure can. Opportunity zones, which kind of tie into tax credits. I don't know if people are aware, and we will talk about it too. They do have the TIF, which is, I apologize, guys. I wasn't ready for the TIF and what it stands for. I'll get back to you on the TIF, but it is a hot topic right now as far as TIF in the West End. And I will get you more information on that as we talk about financing and opportunity zones and tax credits and things of that nature. Yes, we will put that website in the chat. I sure will. I'll make sure we can do that. But yes, so opportunity zones, they are different. It is, you can go in with a group. You do have to understand opportunity zones. Opportunity zones are not everywhere in the city. It is only certain areas that opportunity zones exist for. And again, it's also utilizing the, thank you. Tax credit is tax increment financing. Thank you guys, I appreciate it. So helpful. So we will talk about the TIF. They're still getting that together and what that means for the West End. Right now, the West End, to my knowledge, is the only area in Louisville that has it or will have it. And we will discuss that too. We won't discuss it into detail as to if we think it should or should not happen. We're just going to explain what it is and possibly, you know, the benefits of it and how that could help you, or maybe it's not for you. But we won't get into if we should or shouldn't. We're just going to tell you about it and explain it to you. Okay. All right. Anything else, guys? We're kind of getting finished a little early as far as what I want to cover today. Now, I can say the next training, which is going to be next class, which is going to be on Monday. That's going to be a little bit more involved, a little bit more information. And I do encourage you, like I said, to sit down, do your goals, do your financing. And I would be very interested if somebody just wants to share. You don't have to share your absolute financials, but just share what you have found out and what you have discovered about your finances that maybe you didn't know that you want to share with us. The other question, we'll be going over how to save money on materials. We might not go that deep into it. And the reason why I say that is because there's a few tips and tricks that I do know of. But again, because of what the market is doing right now, up and down, prices are up and down, things like that, there's really no way to know all of the money saving on materials because materials has skyrocketed. I'm not gonna lie to you. Wood is just went phenomenal out the door. So it's very interesting. COVID has definitely opened up some things that we wasn't aware of and kind of hurt some things as well. But it all comes along with development. You have to be aware of it and have to adjust accordingly. And those are one of those things that you didn't see coming, but you're going to have to deal with it. But yes, if we know any information on how to save on anything, we definitely will make sure that we share that information. And if you guys run across any tips and tidbits on how to save on materials, please share with us. Like I said, I know a few, but I'm not going to say that I know a lot. And if we do have some that people are aware of, let's bring it to the group and share it with the group so we can make sure everybody can benefit from it.
Become a member of the Pro Desk at Home Depot.
Yes, I was going to say I have done that. That's one of my tips.
Sorry, I stole it.
That is absolutely true. So if you're doing a project or whatever, even if you're doing a home project, you can go and you go to the Pro Desk and tell them what you're doing and all the materials and stuff that you're buying, and they will put it in the system and kind of compare and see if they can give it to you at a lower amount. I think the last project I did, I saved, when I went on one trip, I saved like $300 or $400. You know, so hey, a savings is a savings.
And I'm
so
an office
absolutely
manager for a construction company. So, you know, I do all the find the vendors. I'm looking because it's costing us. I mean, it's costing us right now.
Have you found
it's gone up?
Yeah. Have you found any money saving tips? I mean, it's
not
just
yet.
so
No, because we went from 50 cents to now it's $1.15. You see what I'm saying? So yeah. And that was the cheapest, because everything else after that was like $1.90, something like, you know, a yard or something like that. So it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So absolutely, as we find things, we will share. And then Mr. Fields said he will give Kevin Dunlap a call. So hopefully, like I said, as you guys ask questions, we are writing them down, and we would try to find resources for you. So we definitely want to make sure that we can give you any and everything that we possibly can to help you out. Okay. All right. So like I was saying, just make sure that you do your homework. Now, this is not homework you got to turn into me. This is for you. And this is to help you find out where you're at and where you should be. And I would love to hear some feedback when we come back on Monday on any like, wow, I didn't know I was doing that. Or I found I can save here and save there. Things of that nature that maybe you just wasn't aware of. But look at everything, and I will be very interested in hearing some feedback.
Well, I'll just give you two more possible ones, depending on what you're looking for. You can check like your restores, like the resell certain things. Like I said, depends on what you're looking for. Like the Louisville restore, I think, is one, and maybe and then I know there's one in E-Town, the Elizabethtown reuse store. And those, they may have certain things. I've usually have looked for like kitchen stuff, but those are two that you might be able, depending on what you're doing. If you don't need brand new, or if you need lightly used, you might be able to get some things there.
Yes, and I went there too. The Habitat for Humanity, they have stores. It's called Restore, and I think they've got 2 or 3 in Louisville. So absolutely, I'm telling you, you will start learning the places to go to save some money. The restores are great resources. They might, especially if you're doing a small project, they might have just enough for you to finish up that project, but they have furniture, cabinets, they have tools, they have towel, they have a little bit of everything. So again, it's just kind of a place that you can go and try to save some money as well. So if you get a chance, even now, go out there and just take a look. If you've never been to one, go take a look at them. They are, I've bought plenty of stuff out there. Stuff I probably was like, I'm going to save that and I'm going to use it later. So I've got stuff in my garage that I've saved up. So just go out there and take a look. Absolutely. If you shop it, if you're looking to, like I said, if you're doing Airbnbs and you need some furniture to stage or to put in there, definitely, we're about to come up on a season where yard sales are huge. Go do the yard sales, look for different stuff, things that you find that fits your taste and you can store right now. So when you do have your project, you'll have those items. So, and we will talk more and more about that, but just little tips like that maybe a lot of people don't think of, that they can do to save themselves some money. Okay.
Tiffany, I know that the Habitat Restore used to have 3 locations, Portland, Floyd, or Central Avenue, and
the St. Matthews.
Heights. But now that is the only one. They had they closed someone told me they closed the one on Floyd Street first, and then which was my favorite, and then recently they closed, probably in the last 4 or 5 months, they closed the one down in Portland. And so now
are they permanently closed or just closed because of COVID?
No, that my understanding is they're closed.
Okay. Oh wow.
So I'm hoping that they come back, but we didn't even know they were closed, and we went to donate and it was like, they're not there. Yes.
Man, that was a good resource. Yes. So hopefully the one in Heights stays open.
Yeah, and the one in E-Town is still open. So I think but I know there's, I think Pittsburgh only has like 1, whereas we had 3. So it might be that that's what they're going to. I don't know.
Okay. See, good information, guys. And that's what we're here to do, is to share it, uplift each other, give any information that we can, because whatever we do for our community is to help the community, uplift the community. So it's going to benefit everybody. When you have a better community, you have a better way of life, better for our kids, our generations, and even us. So absolutely. Any other questions?
Not a question, but it's a
Sure.
comment for some. I don't know if you guys know, because I use Zoom all the time, but if you need to save the chat, you can save the chat because it has a lot of information in it by going to the 3 little dots on the far right at the bottom of the chat, and you can save it locally.
Oh, cool. That's something I didn't know. That's good stuff right there. All right, so next on our agenda for next week, let me tell you what we're going over next week. Woohoo! Okay, so be thinking about your niche. And in the workbook, it gives a lot of examples of what your niche could be. And take a little time just to think about it. And you want to come from a place where you have a passion and your vision and things like that, because if you got the passion and the vision for it or whatever, that's what's going to motivate you and keep you going even through the tough times. So we're going to talk about your niche, and then building your team. What do you need? What do you need to look for? How do you build your team? What do you need on your team? And how do you find those people? So we will be going over that, and it's going to be a really good session, a lot of information. So I encourage everybody to come on back, and we're going to have a good time, guys. We're going to have a good time. Is there any, okay, we've got a question here. Is there any software that you would recommend for executive summaries and performance? No, I don't have a software that I would recommend. And a lot of times, you know what, you can Google that information and get, and get examples and things like that if you didn't want to pay for actual software. Now, I can say that there is a spreadsheet that came with the workbook that we downloaded from Miss Dominique. And that's the spreadsheet that she uses when she does her developmental projects and things like that. So take a look at that, see if that is something that can help you as well, and if that takes the place of the performance. Let's see, next question. I'm sorry, wait a minute, I think I skipped a question. Hold on, guys. Okay. Oh, wonderful. We have in here that Ms. Jamesetta Ferguson is set to join for next week on our discussion, which, if you're not aware, she is the person that spearheaded and got everything together and did the development on Molo Village. And I had the pleasure of going to the grand opening and celebration of that. It was absolutely wonderful. And Molo Village is located actually 2 streets over from where I'm at on Jefferson. And it is where the Dripping Crab is at. And also you've got Park Community. You have a real estate company that's in there. And there's a couple of other businesses that, Amped is in there. So it's a great building. It just was built in the last year or so. So she will be coming to speak with us, and I think that's going to be absolutely fabulous because she can give you real world experience on some of the things that she went through, probably how she pulled resources, how long it took, and things like that or whatever. So it's going to be a wealth of information and knowledge. So that's going to be absolutely wonderful. Let's see, and I think we had another question in here. Sorry, guys, other question is there a bank that we should start developing a relationship with that's more helpful than others? That's a good question. I can't say this one more than another. Again, it's going to depend on which type of development project that you want to do. If you're just looking to flip residential compared to doing a construction, full-blown construction build-up, there are different branches and banks that do different things. And where I would start though is if you already have a relationship with a bank, start calling them, call the loan officer, ask questions, and see what they have to offer. I would start there first. And then after that, yes, we can definitely talk about different programs, different banks and what they have to offer and things like that. But I cannot say that I would choose one over the other. Again, it just really depends on what your project is and what you're looking to do. But it's never too late to build relationships with anybody. Even if you can't use them now on this project, you might be able to use them later on another one. So I would start with, if you've got a good bank that you really like, start there speaking with the loan officers and seeing what all they have and what services that they have to offer. Did I miss anything, guys? Did I get everything?
When people talk about the bank, some people always say the credit unions are better. What do you think? Or what is your thoughts on that?
Credit unions, I wouldn't say better, but they might offer, especially with, like I said, if you already have a relationship with them, they might offer a better product for you, depending on what product that you're looking for, what kind of loan that you're looking for. So it just really depends. But normally, yes, if you're already with them in a credit union, they might offer a better product. Now, like I said, I've in the real estate business on the residential side and things like that, I've seen where credit unions have better products on certain things, but on other things they don't. So again, it just really depends on what you're looking for. And like I would tell everybody, shop. We just have to shop and see what's the best thing for your project. I would not discount any financial institute or any way to get funds. The thing is to do your homework and do the research and see if it fits what you're looking for. Okay, thank you. Got another. Oh, you're welcome. Okay. Oh, somebody said that they are with Navy Federal and Republic Bank said they are great. So word of mouth is another way of shopping. If you know of developers, people have got relationship with banks and things like that, they will tell you. They will be very candid with you on their experience with financial institute and if it worked, if it didn't work, what was the problems and things like that. So absolutely, word of mouth is also a great way to find out who to at least look into. All right. Okay. Well, guys, you got your homework. You got your workbook. Feel free to read ahead. Be thinking about your project, your niche, and also, like I said, next week we'll be talking about niches. We're going to have a guest speaker, and we're going to talk about building your team, right? So come with the questions. Be ready to get involved. Nothing is off the table. Nothing is off the table. We are here to learn and to share. Okay. And if you do need anything in the meantime, feel free to reach out to us. I think everybody's got the links. And this is a recorded session. So the resources are out there too. If you just want to kind of go back and look over and see what else that you might have questions on.
Tiffany,
yes.
you said we could read ahead. Mm-hmm. So today we kind of went over like 1 through 3. Is there, could you give us like some kind of target of what we should be familiar with for next week?
Okay. Like I said, in the workbook, there is a besides the worksheets that we went over today. But then the next one is building your, looking at your niche. So take a look at that. And it's got some great examples of what that niche is and be thinking about hey, it might be someone that you didn't think about that you want to start thinking about. And of course, use Google, do some research on it, see if you like it, if you don't like it. And we can be ready to talk about that. Building your team, basically, we're going to be talking about who should you have on your team and who do you need on your team and how do they complement you. Because one thing I will say with the team is that you definitely want to have people on there that complement your weaknesses. And of course, everybody thinks that maybe they don't have weaknesses, but we all do. And you want to have a team that helps with that. So maybe I'm more of a financial person, which I am, and I like paperwork and getting the numbers and stuff like that. My creative side is not that great. So I might need somebody on my team that can see the vision of how to decorate, how to design and things like that. So be thinking about that, how you would build your team and who you would want on your team. And we're going to talk more about teams. So those are the two things I would say, wrap your mind around and be ready to talk about.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, guys, I'm not going to keep you. I'm not going to prolong it. But again, reach out to us if you need us. We'll be here and we will see hopefully everybody back on Monday. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Have a great evening.